What's up, guys? And in today's video, we have the man himself, Mr. Siphe, founder of Meza Wines. If you guys know him or don't know him, I'm sure I'm gonna give him a second to introduce himself. He is the builder of Meza Wines, which is ultimately a platform where people can invest into wines. But I will stop right there and just let him introduce himself. So, Mr. Siphe, please introduce yourself to the people that don't know who you are and what it is that you're building.
No, thank you so much for that introduction, Fari. That was brilliant. Thank you so much for actually also having me on your platform to actually share what we're actually doing and trying to do. So I'm really appreciative of this opportunity, man, and I won't take it lightly. Yeah, my name is Siphe Mwanza. So one thing we are really appreciative of this opportunity because I actually do believe that a brand should not be a faceless brand, especially if you're in the financial services because we do think that's the best way to build accountability and credibility and transparency. So yeah, building Meza, which is a wine investment platform. So we're pretty much trying to democratize fine wine investments. But before I speak about that, I just want to tell how I actually got to that point. So I was studying accounting at Cape Peninsula University of Technology in Cape Town. I was studying accounting, and I remember there was this one day where I was just so fed up. I just felt like I was living a meaningless life, and I was just like going through it, just going through the motion. So I just saw my future from there. I was like, yeah, nah, I can't be doing this for the rest of my life. I gotta do something else with my life. So that's when I dropped out of varsity, and then I went on this existential crisis for a minute, but then I found Christ, and yeah, that's how I found my purpose in life. Because I remember there's this one day where I was trying to invest in stocks, and I remember just feeling so dull about this actual whole process. Because I remember thinking to myself, investing shouldn't be feeling like this. It shouldn't be feeling like you just doing this for profits and returns. I mean, that's not wrong because that's the whole point of investing, actually, to get increase on your to build your wealth and to preserve your capital. But I remember thinking to myself, nah, this can't be the only way to invest. This can't be like the only asset that I can actually invest in that will make me feel happy about investing in such a asset. So I remember I was just scrolling through, and I think that's such a testament to our generation too, Fari, because I do think our generation doesn't just want to invest for profit. I do think we really do want to merge those two worlds, the passion, investing in your passions, and actually getting a return on those investments. So I think that's a journey I was definitely on. So I remember scouring the internet looking for an asset class that will actually fulfill both of those needs in me, and that's how I found out about fine wine. I remember thinking to myself, one thing that drew me to that asset class, besides its actual great characteristics, I remember thinking to myself, how it'd be so awesome for me to invest in an asset class where I've always viewed it as a consumer good, and that would be so awesome where if we could actually allow people to access this asset class, not just a certain group, but everyone to be able to invest in something that they also thought was just a consumable good, but now they can invest in it and it can become an asset class. Because that's the one thing we always get when we talk to people about what we do is people are always confused. They never thought about wine as an asset class. They only see it as a consumer good. So that is one thing we're also trying to democratize is that knowledge. So there's a lack of knowledge of this market. So we're really trying to bring this asset class to the mainstream. But definitely one thing that drew us to fine wine, amongst other things, is its strong characteristics. Fine wine has delivered stable long-term returns. It has low correlation to the stock market and the equity markets. So it's a great investment portfolio diversifier because we do believe the way to build wealth, I truly do believe you need access to as many tools as possible because it's going to be hard to build wealth with like access to one tool, one asset class like the stocks. So yeah, that is what we're trying to do. We are trying to bring access to as many financial asset classes that people can invest in and build and preserve their wealth. Because most of these asset classes were only reserved for the wealthy. And it makes sense, especially for fine wine, why it was reserved for the wealthy. But yeah, I'll definitely touch on that later, Fari.
Percent, 100%. No, I love that, especially what you're
Yeah,
speaking about in terms of, not it not being directly related to the stock market. But in saying
yeah,
that, what do you think is the main barrier for people to understand in terms of getting into fine wine? Is it mainly just the concern or a barrier of, knowledge
yeah.
and awareness that people aren't investing as much in fine wine? And is it just in South Africa or is it across the world?
Yeah, great question, Fari. When it comes to investing, so when we were tackling this problem, one thing I did notice that is a big problem in South Africa is financial literacy. So
Hmm.
it's not just a lack of knowledge in fine wine itself, but it's a lack of knowledge of investing in itself. And that is one thing we are trying to solve too, because we'd be stupid if we'd actually introduce a new asset class and not be able to teach people about it. Uh, that would be really ignorant of us. So that is one thing we're also trying to do through content marketing is we are really trying to bring this asset class mainstream and providing actual um, papers with credible sources backing it. As one thing about an asset class, for it to be reputable and credible, it has to have an historical track record. And fine wine, that actually is what makes an asset class an asset class. It needs to have verified historical track record of performance. You know, so having that data and bringing it to the forefront is very important to us. We really want to educate the market. But to answer your question into why people couldn't access this asset class, it was really hard for people to access this asset class in a structural way. Because fine wine, structurally, it's not accessible for an everyday person, everyday investors like us, Fari. Well, because one, you need deep knowledge to pick the right wines. You need
Hmm.
significant capital to buy different grade bottles and access to proper storage infrastructure. It's incredibly hard. Not to mention the legal and logistical headaches for cross-border trades. So that in itself is just hard for an everyday person. So it wouldn't be worth it for anyone to go through all those hurdles to actually invest in fine wine. And that is just like a percentage of the problems. So in the whole investment cycle, life cycle, in terms of like sourcing, managing the wines and selling, these are like the top percent most rare wines in the world, Fari. So imagine it's going to be hard to sell these wines, and you need to have relationships in these proper channels. You need to be able to have relationships in with the auction houses and the merchants. And most people will not go through all of those hurdles to actually just invest in an asset that will give them 8 to 10% when they can actually go to and invest in stocks. So what we're doing is we just want to streamline that whole process and do it for people, where people don't have to go through all those headaches of picking the right wines, finding storage, and the logistics, and actually even the pricing, the valuations. It's pretty hard to actually for people, for everyday investors to find the right prices for these wines to actually evaluate them. So you need to hire an appraiser, you know. So that's another cost for people, and people won't go through that jump all those hurdles. So that's what we do at Meza. We pretty much source these wines from top producers and our extensive network, and we value these wines, and we find channels to actually sell these wines. So they actually don't have to go through all of that, so that we do it. So yeah, that's pretty much what we basically do to at Meza. But most people, I think that's the thing is that one thing we're also struggling with is that we really try to go with that approach where uh, we let people know that we're solving these problems, but people never understood these problems because they never even invested in wine, you know? So yeah, so it was a bit tricky at start, at the beginning on how to approach um, actually what's this offering this product to people, uh, especially when it's a problem that people don't know. One phrase I can think of, I think it was Henry Ford who said it, where if you ask people what they wanted, I think they'd say more horses instead of a car. So yeah, some people. So that's what we pretty much dealing with is we just teaching people on a problem that they didn't know they had too.
100%. I like that. And from what I'm gauging from like what you're speaking about, how extensive, or rather, let me put it this way, in your, when you were studying and you were studying accounting, how did Sipe, this accounting student, gain such a wide network in order to, build, this, I don't know if you call it pipeline of, different wine manufacturers and, resellers and all these people that are, deeply versed in the industry of wines. How did you get to, have this extensive network and build it just from, you dropping out and then, exploring this new venture of yours?
No, good question for you. We're still working on it. Definitely, we're not 100% there yet. It's not as
Hmm.
extensive as I probably said it is. But
Hmm.
one thing that did help, it's you have to put yourself out there for it. Um,
Hmm.
I remember this thing where uh, God helps those who help themselves. Uh, but I don't really believe in that per se. But I pretty much said you gotta do your part and you gotta let God do His part. That's how I'd phrase it. Not the first way. So for us, it was putting ourselves out there for it. Like content marketing, especially on a right channel, it really matters, man. And for us, that was LinkedIn, and having a presence then actually posting a lot about this asset class, it really drew interest from a lot of people, and our people really wanted to work with us and be the channels to actually work with us. But of course, it's an incentive based industry in any business. So as long as you can actually help people with the other the people in your network, if you offer value to them, they will offer value to you. So that's how it is. For us, it was just about having a client list, and people actually want to invest in fine wine and bringing that value to our network, because that's valuable to them. And then yeah, you're just finding that middle ground pretty much. That's how you pretty much build a network for it, and that's been working for us too, honestly. At Meza, that's how I even found my co-founder, who passed away recently. May he rest in peace. But that's how I found him. We literally just talked on LinkedIn, and yeah, we just had a relationship, a friendship, and then it just made sense. We shared the same vision. So yeah, that's how we built what we have so far. The people we're talking to at Meza for it.
100%. And I'm so sorry for your loss. I mean, I know we spoke about it, last
Yeah,
time off camera, and you let me know. How difficult was that? I mean, having a founder and then just to touch a bit lightly on it, like having a founder and then, something happens and then you kind of have to take this journey all by yourself again. I mean, that must not be something simple to process because you basically dealing with two different things, you losing a co-founder, but more importantly, you losing someone that you considered as a friend, that you're going to start on this journey and get excited about, to fully build out Meza. And I know we spoke about it like off camera and, touched lightly, but obviously what you're most comfortable speaking about.
no, 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 man. Definitely, I definitely want to honor Jared's life. It's crazy, man. I still haven't processed it, to be honest. Uh, there are times where I just, you literally have those days where you just think about it like, damn, I still can't believe this actually happened. Especially when you're actually working, and you're doing something, especially like when something exciting happens, you just think about, damn, I wish my buddy was here. It's really hard to process, man. It's a hard thing, especially from working alone to going to working with someone. That experience is just, especially with someone you actually bond with and you actually think the same way and you share the same values. Um, yeah, man, it's really hard. Especially with Jared, man, with the kind of man he was such a good man, bro. And yeah, man, he had so much value to add, man. So some he's someone we can never replace. It'll always be hard, man, but we have to honor his legacy, man, and carry on.
And I'm sure
Yeah,
right now, wherever he is, he's looking at you and he's, super proud of, what you're building because now,
yeah, man.
it's not just your vision, it's both of your visions. And I'm sure his legacy lives on through you, through this business, if
Yeah,
you will.
man.
So I'm sure that gives you somewhat of inspiration to keep on going sometimes when things get difficult, no?
Yeah, man. That is so true. And thank you for those words, Fari. Definitely, bro. Like, that really does push us. I'm just thankful for God for actually giving me a person like Jared in this journey, man. It was essentially not for nothing. We will definitely carry on his legacy, and yeah, man, I'm just super grateful for God, for giving me a person like him, and that I got to experience a person like him in this life. It was just the best, man. It was the best.
Sure. And we honor his legacy through Meza. And
Yeah, man.
what has been the biggest lesson that you've been able to learn specifically from building the startup till now, or even in your journey?
My biggest lesson, I'd honestly say, eh, people always say in business you can do everything you can do, but it's down to luck. Um, and I totally agree with that. I feel like for me personally, I always wanted to have control. I always wanted to, uh, same with product market fit. People think there's a certain formula to actually achieve product market fit, but there's no formula. When it clicks, it clicks. One thing I have learned is to just let go and let God. Um, because for a minute I really thought that there's a formula to achieving success. So I think the biggest lesson I've learned definitely is to let go and let God, man. Is to do what I can do and just let God do his thing. Instead of me just trying to control everything and overthinking and stressing myself with certain things to do. And I think that's one thing my co-founder did help me with. I think that was the beautiful thing about having a co-founder is yours thinking of, if you're having this problem, I can do it like this, I can solve it like this, I can do this and this and this. But sometimes you just gotta do what you can and just let everything fall in its own place. So yeah, I think that's definitely my biggest lesson so far in entrepreneurship. You can't control everything. You can do what you can do, but the results might not be what you think they're gonna be just because you did this. You just gotta let everything happen naturally, man.
100%. I love that.
Yeah,
And now just to get back to specifically your business journey and what you're building with
yeah,
Meza. I mean,
yeah,
for me, right, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, or mostly just get in more detail for people that don't understand, the specific industry. If I'm,
yeah.
say, the average person or the average Joe that wants to, invest in wine, how does, the whole process work, both on the front end, what I see as a user, and also on the back end, what you're actively doing to make sure that my investment is being looked after and also compounds through time.
Yeah, so great question. So we really want to make this process of investing in Fire as seamless as investing in the stock market. So because most people go on platforms like Easy Equities and not know what's going on in the back end pretty much. So in the front end, what we want to do is we really want to have a transparent platform where people can actually invest, go on the platform, and actually see the collections we have, the curated collections we have on offer. So for example, we might have our first collection of South African, 2015 specifically, South African wines. So pretty much we'll source wines that we think will go up in value, but people should know investing is risky. Values can go up and down. So I think that's a caveat to actually really talk about with wine also. It's not just an asset that just goes up, it also goes down. But yeah, that's one thing we'll do where we curate a collection where we'll think it will grow in value over time. And we with that, you'll go on our platform. It'll be like going on Easy Equities pretty much where there's a list of companies you want to invest in. And when you click on that company, you'll see every detail about that company. And then you can invest in a share if you want. So that's pretty much how our front end will look like. Where you go on our platform, you'll see a curated collection of 2015 South African reds. And when you click on that collection, you'll see the wines that we have on that portfolio. We'll
Mhm.
give you details on vintage. the quantity of the wines and everything on the due diligence we and the investment thesis are behind why we think that wine collection will actually go up in value. So, for instance, on in our investment thesis, will pretty much include that 2015 was a great vintage. The wines, the weather was pretty exceptional. It was a great year for harvesting wine, so we do believe that value will go up because of that. So yeah, people can go on up like that. But in the back end, in terms of managing the portfolio, we will be tracking the market. We will be tracking the activity on what's going on in the market in terms of anything happening in a macroeconomical point of view, and in a micro. Uh, yeah, we will be aggregating data to always make sure that our valuations stay on top. Uh, we were in a conversation with an appraiser, so he will also help with the valuation. So yeah, that will just happen, and then we will sell the collection when we think it's best to sell the collection. So we will be handling that in the back end. So one thing about fund long-term assets, I think that's one thing we need to talk about. Fund is in like crypto where you can sell in an instant and make really good returns. Find one is a 5 to 10 years kind of investment. So when we see that it's valuable, when we think it's the right time to sell the lines, so people can actually maximize their net profits. In the back end, we'll be handling all of that, pretty much talking to our exit partners, where we can sell them and then people can actually get their returns. So it's a lot of work in the back end, but we really want to do that and solve this structural problem for people. We really don't want people to be going through so much hurdles just to invest in fine wine. Um, so yeah, I think that's been I think about fine wine, but yeah, that's how our platform. We want it to be seamless. So if a person wants to track their portfolio, we will have a dashboard on our platform where people can actually see the performance of the wine over time for sure. But yeah, that's pretty much what we'll be doing in the back end, and in the front end, we just want everything to be seamless, and we want a great investment experience, for people.
Yeah. And then in terms of, the actual sourcing of the wines, how does that work? Because I know that from my understanding at least that you need to be
Yeah,
able to store this wine. Where does this wine, say I've invested in this wine, where does this wine get stored? And with the it's fractional ownership, correct?
yeah, it's fractional
The
ownership.
Great. If I fractionally own this specific wine and then someone like who controls or who has ownership of that wine and who has the say in terms of what gets done to that wine, and then how does the payout process specifically work?
No, great question. So, since people are owning a fractional percentage of the actual wine and you're not owning the outright bottle, you don't own the whole collection. You have no say on when we will actually sell the wine collections. But we are trying to have a secondary market since we are tokenizing these wines, meaning that you'll
Mhm.
own digital shares. So we are working on having a secondary market on the platform where if you want to exit your position, you can actually sell your shares on our platform. But exiting the collection itself, uh, all those decisions are down to us. Because it's not just it's not gatekeeping per se, but with fine wine you
Mhm.
need deep expertise. Fari, you need deep expertise to know when to sell and to know when to buy. Not anyone can do that. So that is one of our advantages that we are offering people. We are offering our deep expertise where people, where we are going to handle all the heavy lifting, so people can just reap the rewards of that, And with storage, fine wine is a living asset for it. It evolves over the time, so storage is pretty important to preserve it. So you need to keep wine in specific conditions, man.
Mhm.
So that's what we will do. So with that, it will depend where we're sourcing from. So if we are sourcing from the UK, we are working on having partners who can source it for us. I mean, who can store it for us in bonded warehouses in the UK. And in South Africa, we there are bonded warehouses down here. So it's all about being smart about how you go about it. Because at the end of the day, it's about maximizing our users' net returns. You know, so not being able to deal with logistics and all of that headache. So yeah, in South Africa there are bonded warehouses where we can actually store these wines because having it stored in bonded warehouses, which is a licensed warehouse, is very important for fine wine because with that you can have provenance, meaning you can have a detailed history of how the wine has been kept and how it has been and where it has been, right? So without that, um, you can't really consider that wine investable because you don't know if it's been stored properly. Um, yeah, if it has been in good conditions and where it has been. So fine wines with provenance really have that's how they actually maintain their value and actually can go up in value because of that. So storing it in bonded warehouses is very important because of that factor. So it's not like we're having wines where we'll just store in our uncle's cellar. We really can't do that because we'll lose their value. And I think that's one question that I have encountered where people were trying to get the importance of proper storage, and that's what we're telling them is we you can't just sell your wine and think people will buy it. No, it has to have provenance. So having proper storage really helps with that, Farid.
Fine. And what is the barrier to entry for the everyday person? How much do I have to put in to be able to invest in wines? Do I have to basically put in 100 rand, 200 rand, or 1,000, 2 million? What does that look like?
Yeah, it actually depends on the wine, man. Okay, so first of
Hmm.
all, in South Africa, we have a currency exchange, which is a foreign exchange rate, which is really bad. So
Hmm.
we're dealing with pounds here. So pretty much we're buying wines that have that are based in pounds. So
Hmm.
there are wines that are just out of reach for anyone to just buy on itself. So, for example, the last time there's this wine from Bordeaux. It's Chateau Mouton Rothschild 2000. And the last time I checked, I think it cost 450,000 Rand. Um,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken, there was a bottle of just a case, but that's just expensive. And so uh that just excluded a lot of people, you know. So I think one barrier to entry is the high capital you need to have to invest in this asset. Because of that and because of these logistical reasons, the storage, you also need insurance too. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into the final cost of it all. But if you're strategic enough, you can reduce costs, and that is why we actually went the tokenizing as the tokenizing route. Is we do believe that fine wine you need high capital to invest in fine wine itself, like the top 1% of the wines in the world. But there are affordable wines in terms of South Africa that you can actually buy that are investment grade, that can start in terms of cases you can buy for like probably 1,000 Rand and up, you know. So yeah, it depends on for us it will depend on the country we're actually sourcing from. Uh, that will actually affect the prices of the wine. So there's a lot that goes into the value, uh, final value of a certain wines.
Interesting. And what does regulation and legislation have to do? Because I think that, for you is a very painstaking thing to get across because there's so many, people acting in on this and also just from a financial standpoint, protecting people and also, communicating with partners from overseas. They have different, laws and regulations when it comes to this. So how does this whole entire balancing act, work and how does it affect your operations?
Great question, Fari. That is such an important question to ask because we're dealing with a lot of, and especially in South Africa, a lot of people have been scammed out of their money. People have been
Mhm.
investing in fraudulent activities and fraudulent platforms that are pretty much really scamming people and taking all of their life's work. And I do believe that's a crime. and that should be stopped. With that said, fine wine itself is an unregulated asset, because it is a consumable good. So you, it, especially in the industry, there have been people who have been scamming people too. There's wine fraud is a thing, where people can actually buy fake wines, and then realize later that these wines are pretty much not what we thought they were. For us, we do think having a transparent approach to this is very important, and having audits and making sure we work with the regulators in South Africa to make sure we bring legitimacy to this asset. Because with it not being regulated, we do think it's really hard on our side, because people are pretty much scarred in South Africa. So we're really trying our best to pretty much bring credibility to fine wine, where what we can do, we will do in terms of working with regulators and being transparent about the conversations we have with regulators, and making sure that we hire independent auditors to work with us, and making sure we are treating our users fairly, and in such a way that we do not bring harm to them, and not because we do not want anyone to feel shortchanged. So that is such an important question for you, honestly, and it's something we really want to be at the forefront of, and being really out there, because as I said earlier on, it's very important to not have a faceless brand, especially when you're dealing with an unregulated asset class. It's really important to be always transparent, and you always be there for like your users, and actually always having conversations, because that is one thing we are doing. We are very open, and whenever someone actually wants to talk to us and wants to inquire about fine wine, we've been there, and we always tell them what it is, and we're not trying to, because one thing that is wreaking havoc in this industry is that people are spreading false narratives just to have a lot of clients on their funds, where people are just spreading false narratives on fine wines and asset class just to defraud people, and that is something we're not trying to do at all. We really want to tell people what fine wine actually is, the true narratives, and that's what we're doing with content marketing. That's what we're doing with working with experts who've been in this market, and not just sharing false data just to get people on our platform. I do really think it's important to have that transparent data. We do think that really helps with letting people being educated for real, instead of actually lying to them just to get a lot of users and meeting the bottom line. So yeah, that's how we pretty much working on dealing with that furry. But yeah, that is a caveat to people that fine wine is an unregulated asset. There's no regulation on it. So definitely you have to do your due diligence on any platform you work with. You just really have to. There's no avoiding that. Yeah.
And with I don't know if the laws and specifically in South Africa are up to date when it comes to investing in fine wine. I know you mentioned that it's unregulated, but just looking at, the bigger picture into the future, do you believe that this is something that needs to get regulated ASAP, or is it just one of those things that will take a lot of time just through adoption and then eventually regulation will come? Just someone to be at the forefront, and that someone is you, of course.
Yeah, no, I do believe that someone has to be at the forefront for it, because I do think this was an asset class that was not on anyone's radar. I do think with an increase in participation in it, I do think that will catch regulators' eyes, because we can say that the same thing about crypto. Not a lot of people, when crypto came in the market, it had no regulation. But when adoption actually increased in South Africa, that's when regulators stepped in. And now crypto is a regulated asset in South Africa. So I do believe that we need to be at the forefront, and we need to work with our regulators on this asset class. And I do think having adoption rates increasing in this asset class, I do think that will start the conversation on having fine wine regulated. So yeah, no, that is true, Fari. I do think with adoption that those conversations will be open. And I really do think the regulation it is important. It brings credibility to an asset class. just like having data on that asset class. I had a conversation with Dr. Messias Alpheus. He just released a white paper on South African fine wine on why it is a good investment portfolio diversifier. And I remember we were just talking. I did tell him that his work was so important because with the data that he provided, with that, you can bench fine wine against other asset classes. It's really hard
Mhm.
for anyone to invest in an asset class for you if you can't compare it to other asset classes, you know? Because if you can't have data that backs that, okay, fine wine is as a portfolio diversifier, you're not going to invest in that asset class, man. So having that data, I told him that it's really good because now people can bench fine wine, and that will draw attention from institutions, and with that, regulation also comes with it. So yeah, for we just have to do our work and make sure that users are protected because that is very important.
100%, 100%. I love that. So
And
just the final couple of questions, and then I think we can call it. Number
then,
one, what is the main vision and mission for Meza for you specifically? Where do you want Meza to be in the next 5, 10 years? Is it you letting go of it, selling it, or you still running it and turning it into the biggest platform? Maybe specifically in South Africa, or maybe you want to diversify and change it and, make it the biggest wine sourcing platform in the world, or how does that, grand vision of Mezza Wines look like?
yeah, great question, Fari. So our vision, what we envision for the future, is we really just want to bring access to the private markets. So we really don't want to just stop in fine wine. We just really want to work with every asset class that is out there, whether it be art or watches or classic cars or even private credit and private equity. We really want to be that channel that everyday investors can actually access the private markets because there's a whole market for it where there's so much alpha to be found. And a lot of people don't have access to that market. Right now, we're still working with the public markets. We still really, people can only access the public markets, and we really want to change that. We just want to democratize the whole of the private markets for not just South Africa, because this is not just a South African problem or an African problem. This is a global problem, and this vision is pretty much global, Fari. So we really just want to bring access and institutionalize every private market asset class out there, and that it's easier said than done. Because there's a reason why this market is private and have people couldn't access it. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work, but man, we trust in God, man, and we can do this. So yeah, that's a big vision.
Course, of course. And what do you consider yourself as? Do you consider yourself as a
Yeah.
startup founder, or a CEO, entrepreneur? Or just a hardcore builder? What do you basically look at yourself as you're building, throughout this journey?
Yeah, I definitely don't view myself as a CEO yet.
Yeah.
I think if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't raised at least your Series A, then you can't really call yourself a CEO. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I'd view myself as a founder. I view myself as a generalist, a builder, a person who sees a problem and who just wants to solve it. Because I do think that is one a powerful thing you can be as a founder. Being a generalist, a person who just solves problems. Um, you gotta be really on top of it, man. So yeah, I do see myself as someone who's just trying to solve this big problem, man. So that's why I see myself as a problem solver for now. Not a CEO yet, but yeah, by God's grace, we will get there for sure. But yeah, that's how I see myself.
100%. And in terms of investment, I know you spoke about you're still in Series A. What kind of investment profile, or basically person that you would want to partner up with on this journey of you building Mezza Wines? What is the archetype, or what did this person, what does the characteristics or the characteristics of this person that you'd want to partner up with this journey look like?
Yeah, good question, Farid. So one thing that I love about entrepreneurship, man, people always say that you can be your own boss or you own your own time, which I do think it's false. But the one great thing about being an entrepreneur and building is working with the people you want to work with. It's working with good people. And in this journey so far, I've been blessed meeting with great people who have great values, people who understand our vision and who actually share the same values that we share. So we are looking for investors who are faith driven. I do believe having values that are centered in Christ are very important for us because it'll be really hard to work with someone who doesn't understand what drives you and what is the foundation or the center of your business. You know, so we are looking for people who are faith driven. That is one. People who will add value uh, in terms of operational success, who will add value with their expertise in the back end of everything. So in operations, in the sourcing, and having an extensive network abroad. Because one thing that really sucks for us in South Africa is we're really far from the world. And
Mhm.
having connections and making connections in the other side at the other side of the world is it's pretty hard, man. So having someone with an extensive network on the other side is really would be really important for us at this stage. We're not at Series A. I was just saying when we raise our Series A, that's how I'll consider myself a CEO. But yeah, we're still just trying to raise. Yeah, we're still just trying to raise pre-seed for now, and yeah, definitely for.
100%, 100%. And do you
Yeah.
have any final words for anyone watching as a source of inspiration or as something that you would look back on into the future and replay that you would want to share in this present moment in time?
Yeah, man. As I say to you, Fari, the name of the game is perseverance, bro. You really gotta you can't give up on this journey. Quit should not be in your vocabulary. And in this journey, there were moments for me, to be honest, where I just felt so down, especially when you put in so much effort and you're not seeing any progress. I do think that's really hard, man. Um, so one advice I'd give to people is just don't give up, man. Don't stop believing in the vision God has given you because it will come true. So yeah, that is one thing I want to tell myself now and my future self is that we can't give up. We just have to keep on keeping on, man. And just trust in the vision God has given us, and just keep on pushing. Because it's really hard, man. There are days where you just you just want to stop. You really do. You really do. Nothing's going well. Everything's just they're saying when it rains it pours. Everything's just going south. But during those days, you gotta remember that you're doing this for a reason and that out there it's not any better. So yeah, I think those are the parting words I'd leave with people.
Thank you so much, Mr. CK. Thank you so much for joining today's chat. I really enjoyed it, learning a lot more about wines, and I would definitely love to hear a lot more about you into the future. What are your, what are you hitting into the future, and also just learning a lot more about what Mezza's journey is going to look like into the future. So,
No,
if
yeah,
there's anything else that you have in mind, feel free to stop me. But yeah, if you guys want to check out Mr. CPA, just make sure to check out his LinkedIn. You're on LinkedIn, right? And
yeah,
YouTube and Instagram, correct?
yeah.
Cool,
Yeah, no,
cool. And I,
yeah, just check us out on Instagram, Meza Lines, and on YouTube. The name of our channel is Meza, and on LinkedIn, just go to Siphe Mwanza, and our company page is Meza. We're still working on our website, so yeah, when we have that ready, our MVP, we'll push it out. But we do release content on a daily about this asset class. So yeah, just check us out, and thank you so much for having me, man. It was such an honor to be on your platform, man, and I wish you all the best because I do think you're doing great things. on your end too, and I really love your channel and the value adding, man, to people. So I do think just keep at it, brother. Trust me. We really do love your work.
Thank you, bro. And if, like I said, if you guys want to check out his work, these links will be in the description. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'll see you guys next time in the next chat. So peace.